Ko whakarara te maunga, ko mā tātua te waka, ko matauri te moana, ko ngā puhi tuku ingu iwi, ko Ngāti Kura tuku hapu, ko Tapue te marae, ko Glinasan tuku ingoa. Ka tora atu aku ringa ki runga, ko ranganui ki a papatuanuki ki raro, ki ngā taha, kei mua, kei muri, ko ukutipuna. He mokapuna o tuku maunga e mihi kau ana ki a koutou. Tēnā koutou, ka huri tēnā rā tātou katoa. Debbie's right, it is really daunting standing up here. When I arrived this morning, I think I said some words that might not be best shared today under this roof, because I was surprised by how many people were here, and it is absolutely a privilege to be here. Like what you have said, and what Debbie has reiterated, is that we all have dreams, and those dreams are really important, never to let them go. I come from a generation, before I get into my notes, which I will do because it's important, I come from a generation where my mother wasn't allowed to speak Māori. I wasn't allowed to speak Māori because my mother said that would hold me back. And I love what you're doing here, and I think that's amazing, and I want to see more of that. I want to see that happen around the Motu. I want to know that our people have a right to be able to speak in a language that is natural, that is part of who we are. So dream those dreams, and like Debbie, I also have an 8-month-old grandson, and my daughter is 24 years of age, and she has big dreams. And between her and I, we've started to learn the reo, and we've got our Pepe books in reo, and that's how we speak to him. Poorly most of the time, I have to admit, but we're giving it a go because we want him to hear the language, and we want him to grow up knowing that it's the right thing to be able to speak. So that's what I wanted to say on that part. So I work for Orana Tamariki, and beside you over here, you'll see the foundation for our partnership. It is the understanding that we grow to have of each other, our separate but complementary aims that really come from the heart and that bind us as a partnership. Our relationship really began with, I just want to say, like any building of trust, it takes time and it takes commitment, and it really does take heart. It doesn't. You cannot move forward if you don't have the heart involved in that. And the reason why I actually feel nervous up here is not because there's so many people here, but it's because I want people to know that my colleagues and I, we have that heart. We have that heart to go with this, and we need to keep proving that. And we need to keep showing that that's absolutely true. So our relationship with Tūhoi and Oranga Tamariki really began with a sign of trust that Te Uru Taumatua and the Oranga Tamariki Whakatāne office held in 2018. And it's actually the practical day-to-day things that occur on that collaboration that is the foundation for our partnership. So we have a group that we get together to talk about the things that are going on, and all this tells us, what our commitment is, but it's actually the things that happen every day on the ground in our mahi with our people in that partnership. And this year we called out a new title for our shared work program, Tūhoi Recovery, that will be honest and real. It will restore community and raise our sense of care for each other. Oranga Tamariki wish to address structural blockages, biases and habits to openly create new practice aligning with Tūhoi aims for mutual benefit. So what do we do? The real steps is how do we turn those words of paper into real action? So since 2019, there's been a significant boost in our relationship coming into 2020, and we've been collaborating in a really practical way around 5 work focus areas. Now this is where it might sound a little boring to some of the rangatahi, but it's really important because it actually does help us build for the future. So we're looking at, what are the things we want to be working on. So when work focus area number 1, it's about where Tūhoi recover their confidence and can articulate the value of Tūhoi way of caring. Actually, I think you're there. You articulate that really, really well. I don't think there's anything that I didn't hear that didn't show that. That there is a shared understanding of how matamati aoni in practice exceeds even legislative standards of care and protection. What this means in real terms is that it means Oranga Tamariki inviting tūhoi kaimahi to walk alongside us and in the implementation of the Oranga Tamariki standards, for tūhoi to challenge us, to ask questions, to test our intent and our processes. It is also meant and to awhia tūhoi-led process of defining your own standards. In Work Focus Area 2, tūhoia are increasingly caring for each other, naturalising the high standard of care that is matamati aoni. This is the mahi of whānau supporting whānau. We have much to learn here from tūhoi, as we appreciate the Crown way of working can create dependencies, whereas tūhoi expect that whānau will support whānau, tribals and hapu will support whānau, and a clear pathway to mana motuhake. This is a natural thing. We think that it's not, but it's a natural thing that people can be able to call on their own destiny to make things work. And at times, sometimes, we have to get out of the way to make that and allow that to happen. In Work Focus Area 3, tūhoi are confident in their ability to heal each other, effectively implementing robust therapeutic interventions building on what is natural. So what that really means is a return to the whenua, a return to whānau. And what we're seeing with our own eyes is that at Tamariki are trapped in mai, and they're trapped with labels of trauma and illness, and how these labels can fall away when Tamariki return home. In work Area 4, the Focus 4, tūhoi are actively implementing care and protection options for Tamariki and whānau in distress that reflect and build on tūhoi responsibilities and assets, effectively keeping Tamariki out of state care. I think this is the work that's probably most challenging for our kaimahi, and on a daily basis, tūhoi challenge our practice. On a daily basis, Oranga Tamariki, we grapple with the way we've been taught to see child abuse and deal with it. And we're hungry and we're desperate for help. But we're also often proud and unable to see how we might be part of the problem. Here also we struggle with our expectations of how we might work with tūhoi as iwi, not as providers, not as a social service, but as the people. And that's a big journey for us, and it involves us trust on both sides and something we are learning to do better. And finally, when we look at Work Focus Area 5, we imagine a day when locally tūhoi are the first responders when Tamariki and whānau are in crisis, providing the support early to avoid the need for Oranga Tamariki involvement. And nationally, that whānau tūhoi have access to iwi support when Tamariki come to the attention of Oranga Tamariki, regardless of where they are. So we know we've got quite a few years journey ahead of us to realise this dream and enter into this partnership with the respect and generosity this relationship really demands and deserves. We had a meeting really recently with of Te Haumui, our steering group for the Matamati Aoni agreement, and we were challenged. We were told that it's not easy to work with the Crown, with the changing politicians and the changing policies. And while we in the public service, maybe we think we should be immune to this, it's naive to think we are. What I think was really important is that you were upfront with us, and rather than saying that it's our money that you want and need, what you're saying is you have us as individuals, as the Crown, in our relationship, and that we are your worry, because if we don't do what we say we're going to do, then again we're in this 2050 talking about it again, and that can't happen. So I'm here today as Oranga Tamariki and with my colleagues and friends from the Bay of Plenty and Whakatane to express our commitment to this relationship. I had a little line down here that said, or something soppy like that. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.